from County District 3. And I wonder, do we just have a roll call?
Absolutely. All right, I'm just gonna go down my list as usual. Okay, Counselor Diana Perez here.
I am present. Thank you. I'm having bandwidth issues and I'm gonna switch to another laptop here later.
All right, thank you, Diana. Sandra Zavala Ortega. I don't see Sandra. Rob Perkins.
Here.
Great. Katie Favela. Don't see Katie yet either. Rondalyn Clark. Don't see Rondalyn, but I know that she is joining, so hopefully she'll be here shortly. Emily Wilson.
Here.
Great. Clover Spears.
I'm here.
Hello?
I'm here.
Megan Halsaw.
Good morning, I'm present.
Great. Faye Solomoni. I see Faye online. Faye, we can't hear you if you're speaking. But Faye is here. Amy Rourke.
Yes.
Great. Lily Padini.
Okay, that's enough. Lucy, that's enough.
I don't see Lily. Oh, looks like Rondalyn just joined, so we can mark her as present. Nikia Hunter. Melanie Green. Here. Great. And Brittany Lassane, who I also don't see online. All right, back to you, Rob. You have a quorum.
The next item on the agenda is approval of the September 2025 minutes, which should be in the packet that was emailed out to you. Let's take 2 minutes, folks, to go over it, but action to approve will require a motion.
I think we're ready.
Okay, is there a motion regarding the September 3rd meeting minutes?
Motion to
approve. Amy Rourke has moved to approve the September 3rd, 2025 meeting minutes. Is there a second?
Second. This is Melanie.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is an action item to adopt. I beg your pardon? Next item on the agenda is to adopt the CAAB report to the community. We have a copy of that report.
Yeah, so that was emailed out. Looks like it didn't get printed, but I could print off a few copies real quick if you need to. Thank you, Alyssa.
Let's take a couple of moments to print off a few copies. Those were emailed out to us, weren't they?
Yes, they were emailed a week ago. And just for context on this, this is a report that we used to do annually pre-COVID. And then with all the COVID chaos, the report was kind of pushed to the side in favor of other things. But now that things have calmed down a bit, we really wanted to bring this back. This is an annual report, which basically lets the community know what the CAAB is doing, and what Clark County Community Services is doing with the Community Action and Homeless Crisis Response System funding. The draft that I sent out is really for content. The layout isn't finalized. There haven't been pictures added, or, it hasn't been made pretty and perfect yet. So you're really just approving for content, and then we'll work with our communications staff to finalize it once we have your approval on the content.
Okay.
Can you send that pretty quickly, Abby? Yeah. Let me know when you got it sent and I'll go grab it. For sure.
Okay, well, let's take a minute or two to wait for that. I'm actually trying to get it up on my email.
Is that the one I was just talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
How many copies?
If you just want to do one and then I can run copies, that's up to you.
I'll just go ahead and send 3 copies.
Yes, 3.
Thank you, Alyssa.
That means no time to add. Wait, but that's not time to add.
All right, so we'll be in recess for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anyone have any thoughts or questions on the report while we're waiting for a few printed copies? Yeah, go ahead, Amy.
I'm wondering how we got the data for the rentals, how many rentals are in Clark County?
What page was that on?
That is on, oh, let's see.
I'm having trouble getting my email to work.
I also have it up on the screen if anyone wants to reference a specific page.
I see page numbers on it, because that's what I looked for, but I didn't see page numbers.
Is it under the county snapshot housing?
It would say there's like, I don't know, it says there's so many rentals in,
Oh,
Where?
I see housing units.
or maybe how, oh, is, what page?
Page 19, the county snapshot. I don't know if that's the point, the first sentence under the housing. There's a total of 212,800.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Census Bureau data.
Oh. Oh.
And then it could be in like homes that were owned in addition to rental units, is that correct?
I believe so, yeah, since it's defined as housing units,
Okay.
that should be, homeowner occupied units and rentals.
Okay.
According to the Census Bureau, there was 550-some thousand people in Clark County.
So it depends on which census data you're looking at. The census has 1-year estimates and 5-year estimates. The 5-year estimates tend to be more accurate. So that is what we base our data on. There's also been issues with accessing census data during the federal shutdown. So the data that I had to use for this report was from the 2023 5-year estimates, since the 2024 5-year estimates weren't published on time as expected.
Sorry for the delays here. Just waiting for a printed copy or two to come back. Has anybody, can you see on the screen, the county snapshot that Abby has
Yes,
displayed?
Yeah, we can see it on the screen as well.
Okay.
Any other thoughts or questions on this?
This is an action item. Is this a?
Yeah, so we'll have the CAAB vote to approve publication of this report. If anyone has any requested changes, feel free to let me know. And then we'll work to finalize the draft layout and get this published as soon as we can. One thing I did want to call out to you all, I sent email requesting photos of board members and got them from most of you, but not all. So if anyone has not submitted a photo and wants to be pictured in this report, please send that to me by the end of the week. I think I already have one from Brondolyn that I'm going to add in her place, but if anyone else would like to submit one, please send that over.
93% of Clark County residents have their diploma. That's good.
Yeah, it's just about the graduation rate at all high schools too. So Abby, I'm gonna log into WebEx. But I'm gonna keep all of the cameras and things off. It's not on the screen. Thanks. Okay, so. Okay, I'll repeat the question on the draft of the community action report to the community. Are there any questions for Abby on the report? So Abby, I want to say if you want pictures of the other elected officials that the county probably already has in the elections office. Photographs.
Potentially, so the ones who aren't pictured, aren't county councilors. So,
That's true.
I really wanted to give folks the opportunity to send the photo that they wanted in this report rather than just pulling one from the internet that they might not love.
Okay. Well, not from the internet, but from the elections department.
Yeah,
And the records there.
if folks are comfortable with me pulling photos from there, just let me know and I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, Abby, this is Diana Perez. You can go to the city website and use my photo from there or my photo from the reelection website.
Great, thanks, Diana.
Mm-hmm.
Will say that I like having this report. It summarizes things in a way that
It is, yeah.
is really,
Yeah.
really useful.
I don't seen this before, but I mean, we haven't done it since COVID. That's probably what.
Yeah, the last time this report was published was 2018, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
I think it looks pretty good.
29.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, what the marriage fees, if they went down or if it just never was that many. They look real low. Few people aren't getting married.
Any other thoughts or questions, or should we move forward with approval?
I need to move my computer.
Rob, do you want to cross out a motion?
Action to approve for publication requires a motion. Is there a motion?
Is Melanie?
Motion.
From the staff report?
And
Second.
okay, so Melanie Green has moved to approve the report for publication, and I think it was Brittany Lassane who seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of this motion, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Are there any opposed? The vote appears to be unanimous and the motion carries. The next items on the agenda are information items, and I think what I'd like to do is just take the next 4 items and have you take charge. So I'm going to give the floor to Abby for starting with the all funding finance report and audit update, Council for the Homeless presentation, City of Vancouver Affordable Housing and Homelessness update, and the task force updates. Take it away.
All right, thank you, Rob. So like Rob said, next up, we have the July 2024 through June 2025 finance report and audit update. Rhonda, are you online to provide this update? Actually, don't see Rhonda online.
Awesome.
I'll message her real quick, but maybe Alyssa, do you mind getting us started?
Yeah.
Do you want to start with the slides or with the physical reports?
Whatever you have next, I'm just gonna wing it.
Okay. I'll pull up the reports so people can see them and then we can go through the slides.
So this will be the finance report.
Yep. This one, the one that has all the print colors. So this, if anyone's familiar or been to the CAAB meetings before, we do a semi-annual and annual finance report. And these are all contracts that are funded for the board to review.
for spending and, contract amount, percent spent. So I'm just gonna work left to right and kind of explain what the report looks like. There's a lot of information. So if you have any specific questions or follow-up questions, you can always email Abby, myself, or Rhonda, and we can answer those for you. This is the annual report, so across the top, you'll see that these are expenditures from July 24 to June 25. On the left in the orange are the organization and programs. The report period, which is the same fiscal year date. Across the top in green are all the different funding sources. There is a legend at the end of the report for all the acronyms for what they stand for. And you'll see if they're federal, state, HB is for House Bill, marriage license fees is MLF. And then it's also categorized by the type of service. So in the gray borders across the graph, you'll see physical health support services, collection and planning, you'll see rental assistance further in the report. And then over to the right in the blue is the total annual for the state fiscal year contract amount, spent to date, balance remaining, and percent spent. And we like to see as close to 100% as possible, since this is closing out that contract period for these contracts. Are there any questions about this report?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
The motel one on page. It says Council homeless motel, that's 15%?
Yes, that's correct. Those were additional mental health sales tax funds that came in to be spent on a calendar year last year. And it was a new program and Council for the Homeless getting up and running. They didn't start spending on the contract, I think, until August. So they only spent about 4 months. And I don't know the specifics of why the spending was so low, but these were in addition, additional funds for a kind of like a trial run for a program to see how it would work or if it would be successful. They do have another motel voucher contract that's right above that. That is 100%. I believe that this motel voucher contract was specific to people coming out of hospitals, jails, so that they wouldn't go directly to the street or have some place to stay, that they would have the motels opened up.
So what happens to that $1 million that wasn't used?
We had to give it back to the county. Those were use or lose, so anything unspent goes back to the county into the mental health sales tax bucket for them to reappropriate for other contracts.
Okay.
Yeah, that one, a little shy. A lot shy.
Are those dollars that we'll have to store for more grants or in between the 3-year cycle?
Normally, the mental health sales tax funds, those are ran by the budget office. And they do an RFP annually for providers to apply for those funds, and they're specific to behavioral health and substance use disorders. So it's not specific to just homelessness. There has to be a behavioral health component to be able to utilize the funds. But there is, I believe there is no RFP for this upcoming year, but they will have one for 2027 again for the funds.
And then I got one more quick question on 3, another one with Council for the Homeless. It's only 52% of households facing eviction or living.
That's their diversion program, and I don't have any specific information why spending was so low. I'd have to ask Kayla or Luis, one of the program people, as to why that one, they only spent half their budget.
Okay.
And I can follow up with you on that one.
Thank you.
Looks like the remainder of the programs were almost spent out.
Correct. And we spent, I believe, our CHG state funds were about $30 million for 2 years. And we didn't spend about $500,000, and those were mostly the EPRAC funds. So almost 100% of the state funds were spent out so that we freed up some of the local document reporting fees, which carry over, and we can repurpose those and try to get contracts full.
And is under COVID funded programs, is this the last of the dollars?
Yep. Hoorah.
Huh.
Yep, that's the last of it, and we spent out about 15.5 million during the COVID period, and 100% was spent. That was the last little bit of it.
Grateful for that support. Are there any other questions on the financial? Hearing none. Let's do this.
Okay, next report, and I'm not sure if this one is printed out or if it's just on the screen. This is a revenue report, so the other report that we just looked at was all expenditures, so this is revenue. And it's broken out by the fund name, description, fund type. And the reason that we have House bill, those are our local document reporting fees, we collect those one fiscal year in advance and then allocate those funds into contracts the following year. Because collections on document reporting fees are unpredictable, that's why we collect the year in advance, and you see the 2 years worth of local document reporting fee revenue. And then all of the grant revenues in the far right-hand column. And it tells you in the fund type whether it's federal, state, or local funds. And that's how much is collected in our state fiscal year for this budget period. So the July to June. And there's the last of the COVID funds. That was the total amount that we got from 21 to 24. There's also some additional descriptions down at the bottom. Like I just said, they're collected at least 1 year prior to allocating the contracts. There's local, state, federal. They all run on different fiscal years. Local run a calendar year, state is July to June, and then federal fiscal years are October to September. And 100% of any unspent local funds are recommitted into upcoming contracts. Is there any questions about the revenue report?
I think and I hope I'm not jumping around too much. This is Brondalyn Clark. One of the things one of the things I wanted to kind of get a little clarity on, I know previously was just shared that Council for the Homeless didn't spend out their full allocation, but I'm curious, do we have the information of when they actually received that money? I know from some of my experience working at SHARE, oftentimes certain organizations like Council and other nonprofits are asked to spend out money with a very limited time frame.
Correct.
Do we
And
know
that
if that
was-
happened?
It's along those lines. Vanessa and Michael went to the council to ask for the funds, so it went through the council approval process, and that was in 2024. So the contract period was January to December of 2024. By the time we went through the council, writing the contracts approved, funds out the door, I think we had all the documents in place July 1st of last year. And then them getting the program up and running would be more of a council for Sunny or Council for the Homeless about what steps they had to take to get this particular program up and running. But the first bill we received from them, I believe, was for August. It might have been even September, but I would have to check my records. But like I said, those funds it had to have a behavioral health aspect to it to be able to use the funds. It couldn't just be, I don't want to say just, but a person experiencing homelessness, there had to be some sort of behavioral health aspect to be able to utilize those funds to put them into motels.
Gotcha. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah. And those were one-time additional funding. It was never any ongoing. It was funds that we had to apply for through the council directly.
I have a question, this is Rob Perkins. On the community services block grant, what is your sense of future that particular funding stream?
I don't have a lot of knowledge. Rhonda manages the CBG's. Rhonda, I'm here.
Sorry,
Hooray.
we had a power outage and I could not get my computer up on my screens. So, community services block grant. Well, we get updates on the the lobbying efforts on behalf of community services block grant. We don't know. One thing though, we have the funds to fulfill the contracts for this fiscal year. Any grants that were approved and we've received from Commerce, we've received the signed documents, we're good to go. They've drawn the funds from the feds. So hopefully this mess is all sorted out by the time we get to we usually get our, we'll get our 26 grant around April of 26. And hopefully everything's all sorted out by then. You know, we can only cross our fingers and hope for the best. And that's as much as I know. So we're good for, like I said, the 1 year worth of contracts. And you know, what you can do to lobby your representatives would be appreciated and helpful.
There has been some lobbying efforts that I'll talk about in an upcoming agenda item.
Okay.
Are there any other questions on the revenue report?
And it seems like most of our federal pass-through funds that, you know, come from the feds to the state and then to us, most of those aren't really at risk for this furlough period because the state has already drawn the funds and then we draw the funds from them. It's mostly our direct federal grants where we draw after we spend that we're figuring out ways to cover until the funds become available. But it doesn't affect any of these.
I can speak to that since I have direct federal funds as well. You know, right now we're still spending the previous year's grant. And so all previous year grants are available for us to draw. We just can't draw from the current. So basically what we're doing is we're having to cover our own internal administrative costs for the department are on our own, but all the contracts we have out, we're able to satisfy. So it's not a perfect world, but we've prepared for this. I mean, obviously this is not our first government shutdown.
No, that's true. Thank you very much. Any other questions?
You're welcome.
Hearing
I
none.
just had, I had one more
There is a
question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I did want to clarify, or I'm not sure if we would even make necessary to make a motion, but like in the future, when we get this type of report, is it possible for us to also get the information of when the funding was actually given to these agencies? So we can have a more clearer view of like the time frame that they're working with spending this money?
And normally the report period is when they get the funds to spend. So July 1st, that council for the homeless with the mental health sales tax funds, that was a one-off. So it would be normally that report period is when they get the funds to spend them for July 1st.
Absolutely. But we know that even with the one-off that it could happen differently sometimes. So if it's just a
Correct.
standard thing for us to include, is that, could we ask for that?
Sure.
Yeah, we can add that.
Thank you.
So that's dates of disbursement of funds or the availability of funds?
Yeah, I'll just, for the next time we do this report, I'll just go through that fund period column and just make sure that each one is reflective of when the agency or when the program received those funds.
Excellent. Thank you.
But they normally mostly get them on the 1st of July, right?
No, not
Yes.
normally. The state is usually behind. So this year, all the contracts started July 1st, but we didn't have signed contracts from the state until almost October. But we do, when we start the contracts, it is for services starting July 1st. And then we do pay, regardless of when we get our funding in October or November, we pay for services for July 1st.
Also, to clarify, all of our contracts are on a cost reimbursement basis. So we don't just provide lump sum funds to agencies. They spend and then they bill us and we review invoices and reimburse them accordingly.
Is that how it's always been?
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything I need to say for this slide.
Yeah,
This one?
I think,
Okay.
Rhonda, do you want to take these slides from here?
Sure. But I will say Alyssa is doing a fantastic job.
She is. I'll keep going, Rhonda, since I'm in person. There's just some
Okay.
additional graphs, pie charts to kind of give you the information from a different lens. So This is the funding expended by fund source, and these are the distribution of funding for July of 24 through June of 25. And it starts the largest on top to the least amount spent. So EPRAP, that's part of our CHG funds, and then emergency housing funds. The legend is at the bottom of that expense report for all these acronyms. And this would be the amount spent by funding source. It's kind of the same information that was on the expense report, it just rolled up in the funding source. So you can see it at a higher level of spending. Another chart, pie chart.
I have
So
a quick
this,
question. This is
Sure.
Emily Wilson. On the previous slide, I don't know what all those acronym means. Is there like a key somewhere? So like then I could just get a better idea of like, you know, what HB 260 or EPRAP, you know, like I just like I'm not familiar with these acronyms.
Yeah, Emily, so. Oh,
Thank
sorry.
you.
at the bottom of the expense report is a legend with acronyms. Can you quickly pull that up to show?
Yeah, and this expense report was sent out over email to you all, so you all have copies of this. And there is a legend at the bottom.
The very bottom of this report has a legend for all the funding sources, so you can see what they each stand for. So HB is House Bill. Those are our local document reporting fees that were collected.
Yeah, I
Is the
just
text
missed it when I was looking at it.
So there's the acronyms that should follow along with any acronyms we have in the other reports or pie charts.
There's also in the original CAAB orientation packet, there's a one pager that has all the acronyms as well, and I'm happy to send that.
Oh,
back
okay,
out.
yeah.
That's one at the top of there.
Yeah, I think I have that back on my home computer. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily.
Okay, let's go back. So this is the distribution of funding by type of service. So it again goes off of that very detailed expense report and rolls it up by service type and what was spent on each type of service overall with all of the funds. And I believe that these will also go off of the legend like rent assistance, TH is transitional housing, rent assistance, PSH is permanent supportive housing. And I don't see any other acronyms on here. So this is spending by service type. Oh, RH, rapid rehousing, thank you.
Next slide.
Yep. Can you move Rhonda's? Yeah. Thank you. And here is a chart for the revenue. So the last two were expenditures. And this is a comparison of fund sources received between state, local, and federal awards. And the allocation of the timelines do vary because some of our federal funds, those were COVID funds where we had 5 years to spend. Our local funds are not use or lose, so those could roll over and be reallocated into contracts. State funds, for mine, they're normally on a 2-year contract budget. Some are use or lose after the first year, some carry over into the second year. So this would be the revenue. And like I said, the allocation timelines do vary, but local, federal, and state.
So the federal portion of these efforts, 6%.
Correct.
In the past, has it been higher?
When we have all those COVID funds, yes. With the COVID funds gone, no, this is about where we're sitting at. And if you look at that amount, ARPA's right at $1 million. So once that's gone, it's going to be a lot lower. But normally, I don't have any federal funds that I manage that this board would look at. Rhonda's CSBG federal, I believe, are the only ones. So that's a small portion. Everything else will be state or local.
Okay,
All true.
all true, thank you. Yeah, the federal, okay. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, everybody
you
would
can
love
come
to
back
have
here.
additional CSBG funds for sure. You know, they are the most flexible funds and they are used to by, you know, CAP organizations all over the country
Here, the
to,
only federal is CSBG
you know,
federal, all the rest are local and state, and then the ARPA was the federal. So this is what you'll normally see on a consistent basis.
anyway, yeah, the community, as we know, the CSBG funds are wonderful. They they are used across the country to pay for the staff of the CAAB agencies that run all sorts of programs, whether it be LIHEAP, Head Start, you know, the community needs, all the community needs contracts that people need. CSBG is vital to keeping the community action organizations going. So we're definitely, you know, appreciate the lobbying efforts, you know, with our representatives that people are doing, and we're hoping for the best. Just wanted to say that. If you get an opportunity to write your representative, feel free.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Okay, next slide. Another revenue report, higher level, comparison of funds received by funding type, allocation timelines vary again. So this is what was revenue from community action, the homeless crisis response system, and then other. Which other is the mental health sales tax, developmental disabilities, or our general fund that contribute to one of the other contracts. But in the other tab in the green on that expense report, that rolls up into what contract would be using other revenue.
Yeah, that's the bulk of that money is the human service fund, which is general fund that is allocated to our community action programs by the council. It's like a match from our county funds.
So Clark County annual audit. So we do get audited every year by the state auditor's office. They heavily audit our funds. I think they audited almost every single one of our funds this year. The results are posted online at that link. The most recent audit was issued September, that's my birthday.
Yeah.
September
This is also-
15th.
I forgot to update this. This was early September 2025 for the period January 1st, 2025 through December.
Yep, that needs updated. So
No,
we did receive.
I'm going to interject. It was issued in September of this year, but the period is correct, Abby. It was for
It was for 2024.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rhonda.
And no findings, including any community services. And a state auditor actually said that it was the cleanest audit he had ever seen that he's done for our county. So it was no recommendations, no suggestions, nothing.
Way to go, county.
Right.
Very exciting.
And now they're back again. Any questions for the finance reports or audits?
Any questions? Hearing none, Alyssa and Rhonda, thank you very much.
Thank you. It was nice to see everyone in person.
Thank you.
Somebody
Sorry about the
available?
computer issues.
No worries.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have a presentation from Council for the Homeless. Sunny, are you ready?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Sunny Wonder, and I work at Council for the Homeless. I am the Chief Operating Officer, and I'm going to give a presentation overview of Council for the Homeless. We could go to the next slide. Awesome. So we're going to start with the continuum of care, otherwise known as the COC. I know that in any system, we can use a lot of acronyms. I think that came up earlier today in this meeting. We have, as with any system, lots and lots of acronyms. So just giving a brief overview of the continuum of care, which again, you'll hear referred to as the COC. And then we'll go into Council for the Homeless's role, noting, kind of digging into a few of the really important pieces that you'll often hear about or see in the community, or you may be involved in different ways. And then a brief system overview, just a brief touch on some of the numbers of what we're talking about when we're talking about homelessness here in Clark County. So you can go to the next slide. And just to note, Brandolyn is here and works at Council for the Homeless now, which is wonderful. And so she might have things to add that I miss. Also, if there are other questions that come up after the presentation, Brandolyn will be a fantastic source of information as well. So to share about the continuum of care. So this is something that is essentially a regional or local planning body that coordinates housing and services funding for homeless families and individuals in a community. So essentially this was mandated by HUD. HUD said, okay, there's funding that we're sending out into communities. We are going to require communities to have some sort of coordinated effort in order to receive federal dollars specifically going to homelessness. So HUD had funding that was going out and they said, we need to see continuum of cares created. So what it looks like in every community, if you were to go right across the river, it would look different, but everybody is going to have some type of continuum of care or COC. A few of the things that communities are required to have in order to receive those federal funds. So it's going to be an annual or biannual count of homelessness that is commonly referred to as our point in time count, and that happens in January. So you'll read coverage in the news, you'll hear about the count, homelessness increasing or decreasing this population. That is our annual point in time count. So it happens on one day in a given year, and that is required by HUD. They typically require every other year, but the state of Washington until recently has been requiring every year. There's also a requirement of coordination of efforts. So one of them would be a local homeless action plan, which is something that we are currently working through or in the, oh, sorry, I saw something pop up on my screen. In the final stages, the draft of our local homeless action plan. So that is something that is we're required to have that is about how are we going to address homelessness in our community. We are also required to have a lead agency that is doing coordinated entry. And I'll get a little bit more into what that means, but we must designate a lead agency. So it can be a governmental organization or a nonprofit. And then the other thing that is required is you must have a lead homeless management information system agency. So this is kind of the data collection of homelessness in your community. Next slide. So Council for the Homeless, what is our connection to the COC that I just mentioned? So we are designated as the lead agency for coordinated entry. And we are also the lead HMIS agency. So with coordinated entry, if you kind of view it as the homeless response system, all of the services that we see in the community, Council for the Homeless is the starting point. So prior to coordinated entry, everybody would be going to, if there are 20 different agencies that are providing services, you're going to go to 20 different agencies to figure out if you qualify for services. So the idea is we remove the burden from the individual going to those 20 different agencies. They're going to one location who is then figuring out of those 20 agencies, maybe 5 of them are able to meet your specific need, or here are shelters that you qualify for. We have shelters in our community that serve seniors. We have shelters that serve families. We have shelters that serve adults that are individuals or couples. So with that, we want to make sure that we're reducing some of the harm and trauma that comes along with that. So coordinated entry's responsibility is to screen and refer when they're opening. So we're waiting on those agencies to tell us if they have openings, but the role is to screen and refer people to those spots that open, as opposed to, again, having them go to many different locations. And Council for the Homeless also oversees that annual point in time count that I mentioned. Again, it is a snapshot on one day in January, going out across the county. We have kind of on a map of Clark County, we're going to do different locations. and different outreach workers are going to be assigned to those locations, and they go through to count every single person that they possibly can who is experiencing homelessness. And then it is this big process to pull all the information together and deduplicate and share out what homelessness looked like at that period of time. We also do, separate from that, an annual system numbers report. Both of these are information that you can find on our website if you're interested in looking through them. The annual system numbers report is one that is more detailed. So that snapshot of one day in a year is going to be on that day. Here are the number of people in shelter, unsheltered, experiencing homelessness. The annual system numbers report is going to give us a better picture of, in a year, who's experiencing homelessness. What are the barriers? What are they reporting their situation? So it's going to have richer, deeper data, but both can be used. It's just important to know and differentiate between those two of what is it that we're talking about, the snapshot or the larger system information. And then, was there a question? And then we also, yep.
Oh, there was one online. That's why you said that. No, I wasn't.
And I will note, Sunny, the owl that they are in the meeting space is very unique, as we too have an owl,
Yes.
and it can pick up everything.
I kept hearing that, like, the rustling started, and then I thought I heard someone. So we also provide facilitation support to our continuum of care work groups. So within the process, we have within our system, we have outreach workers, we have I'll go a little bit more into these work groups, but with that, when we are focusing on a specific type of work, it's really important that we're able to provide support there, whether it's severe weather, working with the shelters, a lot of different areas. So Council for the Homeless is typically in the role of, at the very least, attending the meetings to provide information, data, and things like that, but also facilitating a lot of those meetings. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so to go a little bit more into coordinated entry, as I mentioned, so I touched on it briefly, but it is the access point for shelter assessment. So with assessment, just to give a little bit of context, we're going to have a couple of types of assessment that are happening. So when people are housed and they're experiencing housing instability, whether they're behind on their rent or maybe they're doubled up, staying with someone, but they're not experiencing unsheltered homelessness or staying in their car or in shelter. So that assessment, we're going to be looking at perhaps a rental assistance, so a prevention assessment. So folks will be calling in for rental assistance. So we would have a process that we go through to screen to figure out if there are programs, if there are openings that are available. The resources are very limited. But we would be going through to assess what their needs are and get them referred to an agency that might be able to meet their needs based on that agency having the capacity. And then the other assessment that happens is for folks who are experiencing homelessness. So we are going to go through and ask questions to, again, ensure that we're matching people who are experiencing homelessness to programs that, to the best of our ability, are meeting their need. So if someone has very high needs and we're sending them, the assessment doesn't capture the data or the information about what they're needing, we send them to a program that has a lower level of staffing capacity, where they don't have perhaps mental health resources and stuff like that, we're not doing a great job of assessing. So our goal is to be ensuring that we're matching someone's need to the program that is going to best meet that need. And you'll hear permanent supportive housing as well as rapid rehousing. Those will be the things that we would be assessing to figure out what is the level of support the individual is needing. So with that assessment, we would then be doing referral and assessing their eligibility and referring to programs. And again, this is based on those programs having openings. And then we also provide diversion and navigation. Within a homeless response system, diversion is really going to be the lightest touch. So if someone is entering the homeless response system, the goal is always to, can we divert you from this homeless response system? Can we shift you as quickly as possible back into housing? So that is diversion in the homeless response system. It's used in a lot of different systems, but here in the homeless response system, it's, can we quickly divert you if we can and spend just a small amount of funding to get you either relocated to where your family system is, or get you, perhaps that security deposit or something like that, something small to get you back into housing. That's what we want to do as quickly as possible, because we know longer periods of homelessness are going to increase barriers. So that is something that we'll provide through conversation and resource connection through our different coordinated entry points. We also provide navigation services. A lot of folks that call us, they might be experiencing homelessness or housing instability, and the reality is that is tied to a lot of other needs that come up. So it might be clothing assistance with getting clothing. We're seeing an increase in folks calling about food assistance, so we're working hard to make sure that we have all of those resources that we can refer folks to. And then just the access points with all of these things. One of the things to note is that, of course, we have our housing hotline, which is a really important resource. The phone number is out there in the community. Often folks experiencing homelessness, people are asking, hey, have you called the housing hotline? And we know that for many people, that can be a barrier to accessing resources. If you don't have minutes on your phone, if you just aren't comfortable calling a hotline. So, or for many people thinking of folks with just pretty high significant needs, that the reality is they can't call our housing hotline. So another important part of our work is coordinated outreach, which is another access point into coordinated entry, whether it is coordination to get folks into shelter through coordinated outreach, or going out into the community to do those assessments to figure out what housing programs would best meet someone's need. And then we also have some co-located positions. We have a lot of systems that we interact with, and we know that their folks are our folks, and often our systems don't talk in the ways that we would hope because of a lot of privacy issues. So one of the pretty cool projects that we've been working on, we do have a position that is co-located in the Clark County Jail. So they were able to go in and complete assessments. We've had some pretty awesome successes in getting folks referred into programs. So being able to kind of go to where we know our folks are located has been really wonderful. We also have a position located at the YWCA and are working to get ourselves into like emergency health, like emergency rooms and stuff like that is the next undertaking that we're working on. And next slide. Okay, so shifting a bit to another piece of our work, the homeless system information, the homeless management information system. Sorry, I put that, typed that too quickly. So with this is our system that is really focused on reducing duplication of services as one of the pieces. With this, all agencies in our community within the homeless response system are entering data into this system. So the goal with this is if someone outreach is out in the community and doing an assessment and they see someone else has done an assessment, it's an opportunity to connect with that agency to find out what they're working on, how we can support, rather than I'm going to do an assessment and a dueling of the assessments, or I'm going to provide resources. The reality is they're getting resources. How do we build on that to make sure that they are getting their needs met? So that is one of the important pieces of just making sure we're working together as opposed to providing services in a way that isn't meeting everyone's needs. It also provides an overview of homelessness in Clark County. So from that perspective, the point in time count, as well as most definitely our annual system numbers report, that is coming from HMIS. So the point in time count, we're using some other information, but we do get information from the shelters, for example, that are putting their information into the system. So again, providing us a really good overview of what's happening in Clark County, who's experiencing homelessness, and what are the barriers that they're navigating. From there, it really helps us. We use data a lot, both in our work groups at Council for the Homeless, when we're thinking about examining, are we being successful in referrals? Are we being successful in getting those referrals right, like matching the need? All of that data is information that we're pulling from HMIS. So it's really helping us understand gaps as well as successes we're seeing in our system. Next slide. Okay, so as I mentioned, with the work groups that we provide support with, so this is an opportunity for training, reducing duplication of services, as well as increasing coordination. A few of the work groups that we have a severe weather task force. That task force they've done some really fantastic work over the past couple of years, really focusing in on what is the criteria for severe cold weather. So when do we call severe cold weather and get that alert out into the community? The other piece that we've looked at is developing a process to call severe hot weather. We know it's getting hotter and hotter in the summers, and it's really important that we have a response, a plan in place to be able to respond. So I will not at all take the credit for the work that they have done, but it is really important, that coordination piece, to be able to pull folks together and create kind of policies and procedures on how are we going to operate together and make sure that we're meeting that need. So the Severe Weather Task Force, we have a coordinated outreach work group, a coordinated assessment work group. They are really looking at that assessment tool that I mentioned. We're in the process of developing. We just adopted our COC, we just adopted a new assessment tool. It's called the CARE tool, and it is unique to Clark County and really focused on, again, matching the individual person's needs and what they articulate as their needs, but also matching it with the understanding of the case manager and what they believe the person is needing. So making sure, again, that we're connecting people with the right resources. So that work group is really focused in on that tool, as well as how we're training and making sure people have the tools they need to successfully utilize that tool. And then we also have by name list meetings, and this is essentially just it is called, the by name list is essentially, homelessness is big. There are a lot of different populations experiencing homelessness. To do a by name list is to just break it down into smaller, more manageable focus areas so that we can work on addressing barriers and reducing homelessness. So the examples that we have a veteran by name list. So that means we're working specifically on veterans and what barriers veterans are navigating through to reduce veteran homelessness. We also have a youth by name list, which is a very similar concept. And you can imagine youth and veterans might have some crossover barriers, but they also are going to have some pretty unique barriers that they're navigating through. And then we also have a chronic by name list. The chronic by name list is for folks who have experienced prolonged periods of homelessness and also have essentially they have a physical or behavioral health disability diagnosis, and they've had experiences of prolonged experience of homelessness. Next slide. Okay. So I wanted to touch on, I've kind of given an overview of some of the work we're doing, but also wanted to jump a bit into the numbers. Hopefully folks that are online, I know that these are pretty small, but hopefully folks can see these, and I'll walk you through them. On our website, as I've mentioned, we have the annual system numbers report. So that report has, and we do have the one up there from 2024 and 2023. If you want a little light reading, it is, I don't know if both of them are probably 20 pages of fairly small print, but there is some really good information in there. So we definitely encourage folks, if you're interested in seeing what the trends look like, please jump in. There's most definitely more information than just these three images. So please definitely take a look. But I wanted to share a few of the trends that we're seeing to kind of paint the picture of what we're navigating right now. So if you look at the first image, so it says experience homelessness at any point in 2024. In smaller print below that, it has, the nice thing is it does have the numbers from 2023. So what we found with the numbers from 2024, we actually saw a decrease between 2023 and 2024. And it was a fairly sizable one, from over 4,000 folks to 3,800. So we did see a decrease in homelessness, but then our point in time count this past January, we saw an increase. So, numbers are going to fluctuate, and annual system numbers report, you can't compare the two, but I would anticipate that we would likely start to see some increases as we've seen some many services cut, or just the impact of the government shutdown. So, and again, it is broken out. So the different colors there, I apologize, I didn't get what the explanation of the different colors, but those are broken down by different populations. The dark purple one is families, for example, and I'm not going to hazard a guess with the different populations because I might get it wrong. So apologies with that, but they are broken into different populations. So you can kind of see what it looks like for different populations in our community. And then to the right of that is entered one of 52 housing programs. So we have the number there, which is 568 people entered one of 52 housing programs in 2024. Now, if you compare that with how assessed for housing programs down below, in 2024, there were 3,648 people that were assessed for housing programs. I wanted to share this information just to illustrate that we really do have a gap in the amount of people who are needing assistance, who are going through an assessment process, and then we compare it with the number of resources that we have available. So, really thinking about the challenges, there are absolutely a lot of challenges that we are navigating as a system. And one of the biggest pieces is it's a housing problem of, it's really important that we have the resources to meet the need. And the reality is that we don't have, that those two are not matching. One of the pieces there with the federal funding impact, so as was noted in talking about the finances, that the federal funding available, there was a decrease because the federal funding for rental assistance, for example, did end in 2023. So just noting we're seeing a reduction in the resources that we have available to meet the need. Also, just noting that we're, really using this data to identify the gaps that we're seeing in our system. For example, again, kind of continuing to highlight the need of, we're assessing people, we're seeing the need in the community, and the housing programs and the amount of housing available isn't able to meet the need. And really, thinking specifically around affordable housing for folks. And then just briefly with that system overview, that is really important when we're, thinking about predicting future trends and gaps, and as well as thinking of the strengths of our system, that we're utilizing this HMIS data to think about how we want to move forward as a system, what resources are needed, what programs are successful, and how can we begin to, continue to address the gaps that we're seeing in the system. And really has been a big part of our homeless action plan that we've been working on, about addressing those gaps. Okay. Next slide, I think, is questions. Does anybody have any questions?
Sunny, this is Katie Favela, City of Ridgefield. I had a question about the point in time data. There is one question that's asked on what they're asking people on this survey is where they last had housing at, correct?
Mhm.
And then they capture that in the data and the zip code. But I'm wondering if they could add in the length of time so that when we are doing the annual point in time capture, there is time associated with that zip code to the current status for them. Because when you look at the data, it could say, 42 families or individuals came from Battleground, but
Mhm.
there's no time frame on when they were actually last in Battleground, for example. Because
Yeah.
as the cities look at this, it would help them navigate how do they set up services in their area, Richfield, Battleground, like the small cities,
Mhm.
so that they can better address within the city, how can they set up services to meet the individuals, but without knowing that time frame, it makes it difficult.
Yeah, so I'm gonna defer to our HMIS team on that, and I just to make sure that I'm understanding. So you're saying length of time since they were last housed in that location, or are you saying the length of time they were housed in that location? Does that make
Since then, right? So
okay?
they could use, I'm using Battleground, but it could be La Center, it could be Ridgefield, it could be anywhere, but it's saying their last zip code associated with housing is this zip code, but it doesn't say how long ago that was. Was that 10 years ago? Was it 5 years ago? Was it immediately that they left that zip code because they had a loss of housing? Because when you're talking about having other cities and other jurisdictions bridge that support gap, I think having that timeline is also very valuable.
Yeah, we could definitely take a look at that. I think I transparently one of the challenges is as we add more questions, it can definitely become more difficult to get folks to engage with it. Like I know that
Oh,
I talked
100%. Yeah.
yeah. So just acknowledging, and yeah, I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yeah.
So it's like we're having to have this balance between, it's really rich, helpful information, and folks are, very often in crisis or trying to, I will say, incredibly gracious in answering all of the questions coming at them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I can pose to Dale and the team about if
Okay.
that would be possible.
That would be awesome. Thank you, Sunny. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Other
Sunny,
questions?
this is Diana Perez. How are you? Um,
Hi.
well, two things. One is when you say it boils down to the housing issue, can you elaborate a little bit on that? I mean, it's obvious we don't have enough housing units to respond to our current population or demand growth, but in particular for responding to the homelessness issue, is that the type of housing affordability, more subsidized housing, or if you could just dive a little deeper into that. And then secondly, can you forward this presentation have Cecily forward it over to the ECHO group?
Yeah. I mean, I can send it or I could have Cecily send
Okay,
it. I know her
great.
email is a mile deep, so she'd probably prefer that I send it.
Okay,
But yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
Um,
Will these slides be
How do
available?
Yeah.
Are we muted?
so
Go ahead.
with okay. So with housing specifically, so housing solves homelessness. Like homelessness is a housing issue. With that, when we're, kind of digging into what does that mean? Absolutely. One, I'm absolutely going to advocate and say housing plus services. The reality is, if there is someone with very significant mental health barriers who, gosh, like if we refer someone to a unit and they are in control of their front door and they can't be in charge of their front door, they need supportive services to be able to navigate through that. So there are some people that are going to need those wraparound supports. What we have seen in Clark County is that the cost of housing, so what people need to move into housing, has gone from pre-pandemic, when I was doing more of the direct service work, I could move someone in for $1,500. That amount is laughable today. There are not, people have security deposits that are $3,000. So when thinking about the housing that is needed, we need more. And it is more of varying levels. So I know, for example, in the Heights, because that's my neighborhood, the Heights is, the city of Vancouver is doing a really wonderful, exciting development that is happening. I don't remember exactly I can't think of the development area, but there's going to be a variety of housing levels where folks that have 30% of the area median income, folks that are 50%, folks that are 100%. So just that variety is really helpful. One of the challenges that we're seeing is that if an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment, is going for $2,000 a month, all of us, maybe we would go and apply for that. Like more and more people are applying for the lowest cost apartments. And that means the person who has, maybe they just had an eviction on their record, they can afford this rent, but they have an eviction and maybe they got some parking tickets because they were in their vehicle. So thinking of all of those things, so they have barriers to getting back into housing, the property owner is probably going to choose someone who can come up with $3,000. Which I mean, for all of us, I think right now might be a stretch, but most definitely for folks that are unhoused. So I think that it's really important that we have a wide variety of housing, and not just saying that we're going to be able to solve it with, just one type of housing. There's absolutely a need for a wide mix of different housing. Dana, does that answer? Both a difficult question to answer, and hopefully that gets at what you're asking.
I know Melanie has a question.
Yeah, we have a couple questions in the room, Melanie, Amy, and then any other questions, can you guys send me over email and I can forward those to Sunny, since we do need to move forward with the agenda pretty soon.
You're right.
Hi, Sunny, it's Melanie Green. I was just wondering about the youth by name list. Do you use the HUD or McKinney-Vento definition for that list?
The youth by name list, and do we use the McKinney-Vento?
Yeah, is it McKinney-Vento or HUD definition?
Ooh, love that. So with youth homelessness, the way we define it is we absolutely use the McKinney-Vento definition. Where we're focusing in a given meeting, we will typically, like kind of in case management, we probably are going to like dial in to a specific subpopulation, just so that we can like where we prioritize and focusing. But when we're talking about who is eligible, how do we define youth homelessness? With the funding and efforts that we have through the state of Washington and different funders, we're actually viewing youth homelessness, though arguably all homelessness, but most of homelessness, we've had more funding flexibility to be able to define youth homelessness as a young person who's experiencing housing instability or literal homelessness. So because we know young folks, and Melanie, I know you know this, but it is young folks often bouncing from place to place, because sometimes folks will be more willing to give young people a place to stay. It doesn't mean it's safe, and it doesn't mean that they're stable. So we do have that looser definition that we're able to operate under.
Okay, I'll connect with you later about that. We might have some kiddos that I'm assuming it's 18 plus years of age eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, I was just wondering if there was anything on there, about on your guys's data or anything that these people, because we have the highest rate of eviction in Washington, are these did they get evicted because they didn't pay rent, or did they get evicted because they were a bad tenant and you don't want them back because they're a bad tenant? Or is it because they stayed till the very last day because they didn't have kids and they're gonna be in their car? Do you have anything like that data on that?
Yeah. So we don't collect that data, but our local evictions in Clark County across the state of Washington, we actually have some pretty fantastic data. We work closely with Clark County volunteer lawyers. They do collect information. Non-payment of rent is really one of the largest, that just kind of that snowball impact. We often hear that folks had a health issue, a family member passed away, loss of a job. Those are frequently the issues. So there are essentially evictions for non-payment of rent, and then there are categories of violation of the lease, things of those sorts. We have seen, so Clark County, I don't know if this is true today, but Clark County has been proportionally to our population. So proportional to population has had the highest rate of eviction pretty consistently. It doesn't mean that we had the highest eviction rate in the state of Washington, but again, proportional, we're seeing just very large eviction rate. And it's difficult to pull out the exact reason, but non-payment of rent is one of the biggest ones.
If you think if they're a bad tenant, then you could, have a class, teach them how to be a good tenant. But if it's the rent, that's, yeah.
It makes it,
So
yeah, it does.
Questions. We are out of time. Sunny, thank you for the presentation. It's very informative. Well, I appreciate it. We'll
Thank
move
you
on
all.
to,
Thank you.
we'll move on to Samantha.
Good
Samantha,
morning.
are you here? Good morning.
Hi, I'm here.
Good to see you.
Thanks. I'm always happy to come and share some updates from the housing team. We'll talk a little bit about rental registration, the Affordable Housing Fund, and then our HUD funding. We're on the same schedule as the county, so we just received all of our pre-applications at the end of last month. Next slide. This is the mailer that we sent out to our we have a utility billing list that notes if two different people get a water billing for the same address, then we kind of assume that might be a rental. And so there was about 6,000 names on it. We also added all of the property management companies in Vancouver that we could find. And so we sent out this massive postcard mailing. It just hit mailboxes. We've gotten a ton of phone calls and emails in the last couple of days. So landlords are becoming aware that this is starting January 1st. We are offering free registration if they get their properties registered before March 30th. And then it's $30 per unit after March 30th. And then next year they have to register every year and pay the $30 per unit per year. So I've fielded a lot of questions about inspections. People are worried about that, and we are developing the inspection protocol, and it'll be periodic. So maybe every 3 to 5 years will be our inspection cycles, and we're just letting people know what we can, and that trying to get the word out as much as possible. We've also had a lot of questions. There's a lot of people who have a Vancouver address but aren't within the Vancouver city limits. So there's a little bit of confusion around that. And we are just sharing the information, working with Tony, who is our registration portal provider. So they're customizing the system for us right now, and we're on track to have it fully launched by January 1st. There's no questions about that. I'll go to the next slide. Our Affordable Housing Fund, maybe a lot of you already saw that Lincoln Place opened at the end of September. So I wanted to put a picture of that on there and just mention that received over $2 million in AHF funding. It's an awesome project right next to Lincoln Place 1. And then we currently have our multifamily construction applications on pause until the Washington State Housing Trust Fund makes their awards later this year. And then we'll see what projects are ready to move forward or have a gap that we can help with the AHF. But we do have our rental assistance applications. They were open, they're now closed. We received 2 applications that our Housing Advisory Committee will be reviewing this month, and then we'll take those to council for approval in December so that those contracts can start January 1st. 2.46 million was requested. We have about $2 million a year that we use for rental assistance out of the 10 million that the AHF collects. But we didn't fully commit the last year's $2 million, so we may be able to fund both applications at their full request. We'll see what the Housing Advisory Committee recommends after they review both applications. And next slide. Lastly, I just wanted to share a little bit about the CDBG and home pre-applications that we received. Oh, this slide didn't really come out very well. I'm sorry that my bar chart didn't come over in the PDF. So we have 3 rental assistance applications proposing to serve 59 people, and I can't tell exactly the amount that was requested since the bar didn't come through. But 3 homeownership pre-applications proposing to serve 21 people, 5 homelessness supportive services applications proposing to serve 640 people. Oh,
there we go.
thank you. So that gives you a sense of the amount of money that was requested. And the public service category has 6 applications proposing to serve 4,973 people. And this year we had a great response on the micro enterprise category. So 8 agencies put in a pre-application. Victor Saldana is our business assistance manager. He's been doing a lot of outreach, and the city just approved an economic development strategy. So I think that's why we saw more demand and interest in that category. The total of 3.85 million is requested, and we have about $2 million to award, assuming that the government reopens and HUD still is funded. So we are, based on national associations and conversations we're having with partners, we do expect that we will get 2026 CDBG and home funding. We did get our 2025 CDBG and home grant agreements. Those haven't been signed yet because we are waiting for guidance on some of the new terms that they included in those grant agreements. But none of our providers that received 2025 funds have been held up. So we were able to start some contracts with old money, and some contracts will expire in December. So we expect that we'll have our 2025 grant agreement fully signed and can execute any 2025 activities that were already approved by January. Those are all my slides, my quick update, but I'm happy to take any questions. It's a lot of information in a short presentation.
Amy has a question.
What is micro enterprise?
That is a category of funding that HUD allows for 5 or fewer employees that include the owner, and the owner of the business also has to be low to moderate income, so below 80% of area median income. A lot of the agencies that we see, that you can provide grants to micro enterprises, but a lot of the applications that we see are primarily for technical assistance. So they just help people write business plans, get started, identify resources, help with like taxes and finances and social media. There's just a whole range of services that new businesses need to get up and going or to grow their business.
Any other questions for Samantha?
All right.
Hearing none.
Thank
you
you
very much. Take care. Okay, the next item on the agenda is our task force updates. We start with legislative advocacy. And Who's leading the task force?
So there's a few members of that task force. I know that there were some updates from this last month about legislative advocacy actions that were taken. I'm not sure, Rob, if you want to talk about the letter that you signed, or Brittany, if you want to share more information about that.
Just need to pull it up.
Rob,
Let's
would you
see.
mind sharing about it? I'm in my car right now.
Yeah, I can do that. This is critical outreach to Congress. We had a call to action from the NCAAF. Trying to look up. NCAAF stands for the National Community Action Foundation. So this is directly related to the community service block grants. We got that call on October 22nd, and Brittany responded. Actually, when did we get that call? October 17th. And Brittany responded with some draft letters proposing that the CAAB send to our congressional delegation, 3rd Congressional District, and our 2 senators. I can't express enough appreciation for the letters that she put together. I was able to take those letters, and because we had established positions in alignment with this organization, I sent them to Senator Cantwell, Senator Murray, and Representative Gluskin-Perez. In short, it was a response to proposals to eliminate the office funding for the Office of Community Services and the Community Service Block Grant in particular, which we saw is a small portion, but very flexible funding in our efforts here. Brittany put together some numbers and we urged each of these delegates, the senators and Rep. Gluskin-Perez, to pay attention to this and to support those efforts. I was able to send those letters in time for, I'm sorry about my words here. In time for the NCAAF to use it in its advocacy as well. So they got a copy of it, and I sent copies to all of relevant legislators. I wonder, send you? No, I wasn't able to send PDFs or paper letters with signatures because each of the congressional offices now only take like an online web form. So I adjusted it to that format, and that's how it got to them. It contains my contact information, Abby's. And I wonder if we can.
They haven't replied?
There's been no reply. I asked for a reply in each case, but we know what they're going through in Washington, D.C. right now. I wonder if we could post those letters on the county website or not.
I'm not sure if we can post them on the county website, just because the county has to be really careful in terms of any advocacy. But I can send those out in a follow-up email to the CAAB as an FYI of what was shared.
Just go ahead and summarize this a little bit. It says, "Dear Senator, we are writing with deep concern and urgency about the future of the Community Action Network. For the first time in more than 60 years, we're facing multiple federal threats that could dismantle the Office of Community Services at HHS and eliminate the block grant. Ongoing shutdown fights, mass layoffs, potential rescissions threaten to permanently reduce or end the programs that form the foundation of our local safety net. Without your leadership, the structure that allows Clark County and communities across Washington to respond to poverty and crisis will disappear." Along with some data about how it works and the data that shows the community action works, and a call to action for each of the legislators. If you'd like to have a copy of that, I can send it directly to you. Just write to me at rrperkin@outlook.com or send the request through Abby and she'll get it to me too.
Yeah, I'm also happy to include PDFs of those in the follow-up from this meeting.
From the members of the Legislative Advocacy Task Force, and are there other items?
The only other legislative advocacy related item that I have is I've shared with you all in the meeting reminder email, the 2026 WASCAP legislative priorities. I think they're also in those packets that you all have printed, just as an FYI of what WASCAP is prioritizing for the next year, and if the CAAB wants to align with any of those priorities. Anything else on legislative advocacy, or should I move to the Community Needs Assessment Task Force?
Let's move.
All right, hearing nothing, the Community Needs Assessment Task Force has been very active preparing for the launch of the next Community Needs Assessment Survey. As you all know, this survey will be open from January 1st through March 31st, 2026. I've been doing a lot of outreach to different agencies and community groups to spread the word, but I also really need all of your help to spread the word about the Community Needs Assessment. I'm finalizing the online versions of the survey right now, and once those are ready, I will send you all copies of the flyers with the QR codes to the online surveys in 5 different languages, as well as copies of the physical printed survey in each language, so that you all can share it throughout your community and help get us a lot of responses. And if you're interested in receiving physical printed copies, I'm happy to print those out and mail them to you with prepaid return envelopes if you have any opportunity to do distribution and outreach in your communities. Just let me know. Any questions?
Hearing none, I think the team building work group will come at 10:40.
Yeah, they have a separate business item, so we can skip their update here.
The next item is an action item. We're taking nominations for the 2026 CAAB executive team. If I could ask, this just be president, vice president, and secretary. Okay, nominations then are open for the position of president or chair of the Community Action Advisory Board. Maybe Abby, you talk about the eligibility.
Yeah, so currently our chair is Rob, our vice chair is Melanie, who tragically is leaving the CAAB. This is her last meeting, end of 3 full terms, so she won't be able to reapply for that position. And Amy is our secretary. Rob, I believe you've only held the chair term for 1 year, so
That's
you
right.
would be eligible for reappointment. And Amy, you've also only been secretary for 1 year.
Right.
So you'd
I
also
got
be
to
eligible.
I got to read.
Yeah, so if either of you are interested in reapplying for these positions, feel free to do so. And anyone else, feel free to self-nominate or nominate another fellow CAAB member. I think the only eligibility requirements for the positions are that you have to have been on the CAAB for at least a year. Otherwise, I don't think there's any other requirements. Responsibilities include for the chair, chairing meetings like Rob does, and then vice chair stepping in for the chair when needed. Secretary is mostly reviewing and signing minutes. And then also the whole executive team works together to interview new CAAB members and make executive decisions for the board. I see Brondolin's hand is raised.
Good morning. I would like to nominate Brittany Lassane for the vice chair.
Okay, nominations for chair are open, but we'll record the nomination.
Sorry, I apologize. I was too soon.
Yeah.
I'll hold that.
It's okay. It's okay.
So it's
I'll express that I'm happy to continue in the role, but I want folks who are sincerely interested in the chair position to also express themselves. So I don't have to be the one leading the meetings if there are others interested. Are there any nominations for president or chair of the Community Action Advisory?
You?
Okay, Amy Rourke has nominated Rob Perkins. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations for president of the Community Action Advisory? Hearing none, I guess it's me.
And we will be taking a vote at the beginning of the January meeting. So if there are any other nominations between now and the January meeting, feel free to send me those over email or give me a call.
Agreed. Okay, so a nomination stands for Rob Perkins for president. We'll open nominations for vice president, and we have one nomination from Brondelyn Clark for Brittany Lassane to serve as vice president.
Yes, that is still the nomination I would like to submit on record. Thank you.
Thank you, Brondelyn. I'd be happy to support that. Are there others who wish to advance a nomination for vice president?
Brittany, accept that nomination?
Thank you, Diana. Brittany Lassane, do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Are there any other nominations for vice president? Are there any other nominations for vice president? Hearing no other nominations, Brittany Lassane is nominated for vice president, and the nominations will remain open for others to express their interest between now and the January. Nominations now open for secretary.
Well, I would nominate myself unless somebody else wants to.
Amy Rourke has offered to continue in the position, so that constitutes a nomination. Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Amy as well.
Okay. There's a second nomination for Amy. Are there any others? Hearing none, the nomination will remain open for those who wish to express an interest in the position of secretary, and we'll cast a vote at the next meeting.
Until when? Till January?
The January meeting will be on January 7th.
Next item on the agenda is a discussion of a new CAAB meeting time. As you know, the Clark County Council has asked that, and we've approved, that a member of the council be appointed to the advisory board. However, county meetings interfere with the typical Wednesday morning meetings that we have every other month. Abby had sent out a poll asking for preferred times and things, and we have the results of that. So Abby, why don't I let you take it over?
Yeah, so it looks like 11 members filled out the poll. We currently have 14 members and 2 will not be returning, so almost everyone, which is great. It looks like the meeting time that would work for the most people was voted for by 6 people, and that is the 4th Monday of each odd numbered month from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. I would love to hear from folks who said that this time would not work for them, if this is a barrier that would prevent you from attending CAAB meetings entirely, mean that you had to resign your membership, or if it was just a general preference. An important thing for you all to know is that when this conversation was had with the county council, they expressed that they don't want to, create a burden on the CAAB by moving meetings. So if moving the meeting would mean that we would lose about half our membership, personally, I would constitute that as a large burden on the CAAB. So I'd love to open up a conversation to folks if this 4th Monday from 1 to 3 p.m. would work for most folks, or if it would mean that folks had to resign. And if people want, we could take a vote about whether we want to change the meeting time or keep our current meeting time, which would mean that the county council would not be able to attend our meetings.
Abby, this is Katie Favela. Can you show us what the second option would be outside of the first?
Yeah, so it looks like there were 4 options tied for second, which were voted for by 5 out of the 11 respondents. These include the first Monday from 1 to 3, the third Monday from 1 to 3, the fourth Monday from 3 to 5, and the first Thursday from 9 to 11.
Was there a preference of morning or afternoon that seemed to prevail?
It seems like afternoon tends to work better for folks, just based on this poll. But there was one morning option, and our current meetings are in the morning, so would love to hear thoughts. It looks like Brittany put in the chat, it works for me, it was just difficult to navigate, but doable, I have to hop on. Okay, so Brittany says that the fourth Monday would work for her. Is there anyone who, if we did switch the meeting to the fourth Monday from 1 to 3 p.m., would no longer be able to participate in the CAAB?
This is Diana Perez. Our city council meeting workshops are Mondays. Sometimes we start at 3 or 3:30. So if that's the case, I'll just have to get off a little bit earlier, but Mondays 1 to 3 work for me.
Thank you, Diana.
I'd lean toward a preference of the first week of the month, just to maintain that. But I just guess from a personal standpoint, my Mondays tend to be pretty wide open.
So based on the poll, it seems like the first week of the month might not be the best for folks. For the first week, I proposed the first Monday, first Tuesday, or first Monday, first Thursday, and first Friday. So we currently meet on the first Wednesday, and the council meets on the first Tuesday. So, and it seems like those times were less flexible for folks.
Okay. I guess the only downside of that would be we'd have our January 7th meeting, and then we wouldn't have another meeting until almost 3 months later.
It's true, we could move our January meeting accordingly if folks wanted to. We could start this new meeting schedule with the first meeting of 2026.
Monday, the
Do folks want to put this to a vote? Maybe we could do a roll call vote of if people would prefer to move the meeting to the fourth Monday in the afternoon, and so that a county council member can join our board, or keep the meeting as is.
Okay, so that action would require a motion. Would anybody like to advance that?
Amy? Yeah. I motion to approve, what we're doing, approving this?
We can move our meeting
Oh,
time
to move our meeting time to, according to, do we find out the right date or the time? We can just do the board.
Based on the poll, it seems like this would be the best time for folks. I haven't heard any objections or anyone let us know that this meeting time would mean that they would have to resign.
Keep the mouse right there. So to move our meetings to the
To move
fourth.
our meetings to the fourth Monday of the month, odd number months from 1 to 3 p.m.
Okay, Amy has moved to schedule our meetings on the fourth Monday of each odd numbered month going forth.
Brondolyn Clark seconds.
Ronald Clark seconds. Is there more discussion?
I'd like to use parliamentary procedure all the way and just say consent, so we don't have to do one by one voting.
Then I will ask, well, it's now a motion on the floor, but I can take a voice vote.
No. By saying consent means we don't have to do a voice vote unless there's an objection. You call for objection 2 times, and if no one objects, then it automatically passes. So I'm calling for consent in your motion.
Okay. Are there any objections? Now I'm asking for unanimous consent on Amy's motion. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion carries. And our next meeting will be January 19th. January 26th.
Yes, and I'll send a follow-up email with this information and a new meeting schedule with new meeting times. Thank you, everyone.
All right, the next item on the agenda is team building poll and discussion. And did Brittany have to step up?
She did, but I think Bronwyn's gonna be the one taking the lead on this.
Gotcha.
Bronwyn, do you have
Yes,
the
I
Menti?
do. So to help us out, for those that are able to have multiple screens on their laptops, I also dropped the link in the chat, and then I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Yes, let me know if you don't have screen sharing permissions.
Oh, share device. Oh, share screen. Let's see. Start broadcasting. All right. Can y'all see?
Yes, we can.
Awesome sauce. Okay. So what we have in front of us is what we call a Mentimeter. It is refreshing. Yay. Ah, there it goes. Okay. So we have a couple options. If you want to grab your cell phone and you can go to your camera and scan the barcode and it'll take you to this Mentimeter. Or you could go to menti.com and place the code in, whatever is most convenient. And I also placed it in the chat. Once you get in, I can see about 5 of us are there. Feel free to give me a thumbs up. Let me know you're there.
Oh, this is cool.
Mine says waiting for presenter, Bronwyn.
That is correct. You are waiting for us to get started, but it should have this on your screen. And we're going to do a test run. So Mentimeter is pretty unique. It's PowerPoint, but you also can do surveys and live feedback and information from individuals as well. So I see about 8 of us are in there. I'll give everybody a couple more seconds to get in. Whatever works best for you, whether you want to do it on your computer or you have the opportunity to do it from your actual cell phone, whatever's most convenient. Okay, I think we're almost in there. It's looking good. Anyone need any help? Everything's going okay?
Did I miss something, Brondel? It's saying waiting for presenter.
Nope, that's perfect. It should. It
Okay.
should be
Okay,
saying waiting
sorry.
for presenter.
I'm like, what am I doing here?
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, well, we'll get started. We'll go to our next slide. So this will be our test run. So we're going to ask a couple questions today, just kind of capturing each other's feedback. And this will be helpful for us as we go forward and really look at opportunities for team building and just learning and growing together as a team. So right off the bat, I want to know, what are your chocolate preferences? I know for some, chocolate with peanut butter is understandable. And I see that it came in on a strong top right there already. Everything but chocolate, I don't know a lot of people like that. So I'm intrigued to see who sits amongst us in this space that doesn't like chocolate. However, the cool thing about this is that the answers are anonymous, so we don't get to see who's actually doing it. So I just know that there is someone here that is not in love with chocolate, but it's okay. I accept you.
Thank
And then
you,
I see that
Bronwyn.
you're welcome.
But you see the folks who are answering, right, Bronwyn? Or
I
is it
can
anonymous
see
to
how
you
many
too?
people have answered, but I can't see who the person is.
Okay.
So it keeps it anonymous on your side too. That's cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's pretty cool. So 9 of you signed in, which is good to go. But I also see that of the 9 of you, all of you have participated. So I'm really grateful about that. I am really surprised that chocolate with peanut butter came out strong. I would have thought y'all were just traditional straight chocolate people, but this is great to get to know you on this very intimate level. Thank you for bonding with me. Okay, so up next, just kind of going forward with the context of us trying to gather information. One of the things that we've been looking at is how do we find opportunities for us to grow and learn together? And we want to know, as a team, are you interested in ongoing conversations, meetings, or trainings around community-focused services and cultural competency? So, of course, you can share absolutely. No, no, thank you at this time. That's fine. Or I'm interested, but would like to know more before we commit, which is also understandable.
Are these slider bars? So choose 1 to 5 for each of the,
Which is your ranking of them?
One
Good.
all in.
I'm confused a little bit.
Oh no, I got the backwards. All in should have been at the top. So go for it. So yeah, just do your scores. 5 being the highest.
5 being the highest is not at this time.
but all of them have a
Oh,
slider.
we'll do them backwards. Follow the score sheet. Sorry about this.
Oh, yeah, 5 means,
Not at this.
5 means all in, right?
Yeah, let me switch it. I realized
What is this? I'm all.
I coded it backwards.
She said she's got it backwards, so it's presented backwards, but yeah.
No worries. What we're gonna do for the sake of time, I'm gonna skip this one and we'll come back to it.
Okay.
But this one is this. So if you are interested in us having more trainings and opportunities together for cultural competency as well as team building, and learning more about the community we serve, what would that look like for you? Some of the examples that we talked about in our presentation, or in our last meeting, we talked about potentially it could be us, learning about a book, or us speaking to or having keynote speakers come in, things of that nature. Okay, awesome, awesome. You can see some of everybody's answers here. Having key speakers come in sounds cool. Speakers, books, and coffee dates to get to know one another. I love the idea of us adding some books for sure. Sharing events and conferences, definitely helpful. In-person gatherings focused on developing competencies for our grant scoring processes. Absolutely. Okay. All right. We'll go to the next one. Book club. Okay, so one of the things we want to talk about during our regular meetings or additional meetings. So are we wanting to continue these conversations in space, like meeting, having these opportunities to learn more, or just these, whether it's the books or all of those things, are we wanting to do that in our current regular meetings, or are we open to additional time? And it feels like it might, from the results we're seeing, a combination of both. Okay. Ooh. The numbers are coming in. Traditionally, when I do this, I usually have music playing in the background for people. All right, I got about 3 more of you that are answering. Uh-oh, regular meeting has taken the lead, which is perfectly fine. Okay. All right, we'll go on to our next one. Would you like these to happen in person or virtual? It looks like regular meetings have taken the lead on that, but I know that there may be opportunities and things that are happening outside of that we could potentially consider. And so will we want to do that in person or virtual? Awesome
Democracy in
sauce.
action.
Love it. Okay. Looks like in person is coming in very strong. Uh-oh. I'm going to give a couple more seconds. Okay. All right. How often? And this is kind of your like free for fall. It should allow you to just drop little thoughts of we should do this once a month. We should do this every other month or off months when we're not in session or not in our CAAB meeting sessions. Even if we just have it available once a month, that might be ideal. I think it'd be cool if we did a potluck. I'm going to go back and add that into this. I'm always like, how do we
food too?
Yeah, how do we incorporate food? Because that also helps us focus more. Okay. I just want to know, does anybody have a good brisket recipe? That's important.
Good brisket. I
A
don't
good
dare.
brisket recipe. I'm struggling trying to figure it out.
Yes, we actually have a really good one. My husband and I used to do catering, and brisket is his jam. And I'm from the South, so I feel like I know good brisket when I taste it.
Katie, I want you to know, I know you have a lot that you can contribute to this CAB board, but that is going to take you far here. I know it. I'm here.
Pair it with some good macaroni and cheese or some homemade
Yes.
coleslaw. Like we're
Yes.
good.
Yes. I feel like we got this figured out, y'all.
Who's got the best potato salad recipe?
Yeah. I'm open. I just know long as we got some brisket, I'm in. You got me.
So you
I'm old and I've been to a lot of potlucks, so I've got a lot of recipes.
Okay, Faye. We got
Yeah.
you, Faye. We can make this happen. I feel like if I don't coordinate anything else, I can coordinate us a potluck. Okay. All right, we're gonna go to the next one. Disregard the how often in the sentence. Let's see. In one sentence, what do you think success looks like for our board in the next year?
And just real quick, as people are thinking, I want to recognize that we are almost out of time in this meeting, but I am happy to stay on if folks want to keep having this conversation.
Agreed. Well,
I'm losing my battery. I'm losing power, so I'm going to lose you guys anyway.
oh dear.
Question mark. I don't really know.
All right. We got a couple answers that have come in. Okay. All right. So we only have one more, and then the last one is just a fun for fun. I will go ahead and slide us to the next one. I think if you're still working on that one, it's okay. It'll let you still submit. But I just want to make sure I give y'all time. Okay. And then this one, what needs to happen this next year to ensure we are set up for a successful RFA in 2027?
Oh,
Right? More funds going to the public and not administrative costs, understandable. I think one I will add in there is I would like for us to provide more, um, like more group onboarding to understanding the RFA process, to understand the magnitude of it and the weight that comes with it. Collaboration and understanding of the community needs, study groups. I definitely think the study groups would be cool. More data of where the funds are used, absolutely. Trust building and education regarding the complex process and community needs.
yeah, that reads about,
Oh, sorry.
but Glass and I don't get along when I type.
Understandable. Absolutely. And I think just even the information we were learning today on the finance report, the finance reports that we were reviewing were really helpful. And what does that look like for us preparing for the RFA for 2027 and preparing and reviewing those things and really reading all of Abby's emails, because Abby sends not a lot of emails, but she does send important emails. And so how do we make sure we read those and get that information, and so we can bring good questions and good insight. Okay. Take your time. I think we have maybe a couple more that may want to add anything. And then I will go to our last one, and it's thank you. That is it. I do want to thank y'all for this. I will be sure to keep this document live for a little bit in case someone wants to come back and answer more questions or add any more. They are more than welcome to.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Bronwyn. That was really great.
Thank
And I'm
you.
excited to look through those answers and yeah, have more conversations. If people are interested, I can add a section to our January meeting to kind of continue this conversation so that we can have more in-depth discussion based on what we learned today.
Okay.
I
Awesome.
think, sorry, this is Diana Perez. I think that if we continue this conversation, Brondalyn, that we loop it back and connect it to the mission of CAAB and what our purpose is. I think that's an important thing, to connect the dots, and how does that operationalize into what we're doing sitting as CAAB members.
Absolutely. And I think that's the forefront of what we are supposed to be doing every meeting and every time we show up. So I definitely agree with you, Diana. And I think the cool thing with the Prezi is us kind of figuring out what does that look like for us on the like technical aspect, whether it's in-person meetings, us learning more, showing up in the community differently, or just having those opportunities and just kind of seeing what works best for everybody as a board, as CAAB members now. And but at the forefront, making sure we're following through on what we signed up for. So I agree.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
You
so
are
much.
welcome. Thank y'all.
Sometimes remembering the names, but I really appreciate how you put this together. Perhaps it's a tool we could use in the future. Next item on the agenda is our open public forum. Members of the public are invited at this time to come forward. You will have 3 minutes to speak on any topic. So yeah, I'll open the public forum section at this time. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the CAAB? Are there any members of the public who wish to address the CAB? Are there any members of the public who wish to address the CAB? Hearing none, we'll close the open public forum session of the meeting. The next item on the agenda is other business, and I have an item, and I'll call for others. I want to recognize the service rendered by two of our members. Get out my notes here. Today's meeting is the last meeting for Melanie Green, who has been a member of the CAB and in the leadership of the CAB on and off for the last 9 years.
No way, really?
Yeah,
I think that was the year I met you.
yeah.
Oh my God.
And in combination with her role at Evergreen Public Schools, leading the family community and resource centers there, the work on McKinney-Vento, I think you had a part of that. This has been a real synergy in helping the most vulnerable of those with unstable housing and getting some stability. I can not put in words how deeply grateful I feel to the work that you do all over in advocating for those who need our help the most. And I appreciate that. I hope you'll stay in contact with us on the CAB and in other places in the city. I also want to recognize Megan Molsoff, who has served for 2 years. Two terms.
6 years, yeah.
6 years, long time, and express appreciation for her service in 2 grant cycles now. Thank you. Thank you for sticking with it. Appreciate it. Is there anything anybody would like to add on that topic?
Just thank you both so much for your dedication and passion for this work, and we'll miss you.
Oh, I can't believe it's been 9 years.
9 years.
It's a long relationship. Yeah, no, it's truly been a joy serving the community and learning so much about the systems in place to support our most vulnerable individuals across our community and working in such great company with such great leadership through Abby and the county. So thank you. I will miss seeing you every other month. I think I've probably missed very few meetings. I can probably count on one hand how many I've missed in those 9 years because it's just been a priority for me. And being a part of the scoring and, you know, and recognizing and appreciate what Ron said, the gravity of this role in funding our homeless crisis response system and other services that prop up so many vulnerable communities. And it really aligned with my work through the FCRC. So it was a natural fit for me to be a part of this. And so thank you.
Excellent. Are there any other business items?
I just want to mention that we have 4 open positions on the CAB, Melanie and Megan's position, and then Amy, I believe, is reapplying, but the position is open, as well as Nikia's position. I'm not sure if she'll be reapplying yet, but that position's open as well. So feel free to spread the word about that. There was a news release posted that I believe you all received. And then also, nope, that was it.
This is Diana Perez. I have a couple of comments. Is this a good time now to share?
Sure.
First, I had responded to Abby when she sent out that press release, and it had to do with the language that was being used for one of the positions. And it was referring to a low-income person. And I just thought, when I read that, I just thought it was tone deaf. And I shared my thoughts with Abby. And so Abby said that it was language that was from the state regulations. And so, and I say that because I think we can choose better language like economically disadvantaged or something instead of saying, oh, she's the low income or he's the low income person in this group. And it just felt very disrespectful, and I hope that we're able to influence changing that approach. Not sure how to do that, but I did want to share that concern with the rest of CAB, and maybe there's just a better way to have better language that's not feeling icky for somebody who may be embarrassed or shy or doesn't want to be tagged a certain way.
Thank you,
Uh,
Diana.
I agree completely.
Yeah, thank you both. Yeah, so the reason that that language has been used in the past is low-income representative is the title of a third of the positions on the CAB. And it's required by state and federal regulations that we have that position on the CAB where people who represent low-income communities represent 1/3 of the CAB. But we don't have to use that language in the title of the position. So if you all want, I can also add to our January meeting agenda a discussion about renaming that position.
Please, I think that'd be great.
This is Katie Favela. I agree with that. And maybe we can talk about that in January, but including that language of a person with lived experience, because that can allow a broader range of experience coming. People applying know that they're going to be a representative of a certain population, but coming in with lived experience versus a title.
We've made a practice of prioritizing that.
What, the low income?
Yeah, because the eligibility for low income for that position category is either lived experience or working in an agency that serves people in that particular county district.
I thought you had to be low income to be the low income. Because when I was out in Washougal, I was the low income representative, and I was so happy when I came here and I was community because didn't have to be the low income no more, even though I'm low income.
Yeah, so the qualifications for that position are you have to be democratically nominated to the board by a group that represents the interest of folks who have low income. So it either you are nominated by a group of low income residents or by an agency that serves folks who have low incomes.
So low income residents could nominate somebody that's not low income to be the low income representative, you're saying?
That's correct.
Oh.
Okay, and then
Still.
yeah, I agree with you. And I'm glad that we'll have this discussion and just overall vocabulary and terminology and to be more inclusive and respectful. I think it's a good thing for us to apply some of the training that we've been going through. So it's a good first exercise. My second comment has to do with the public meeting portion of this. Obviously, we're past 11 o'clock. We started doing that at 11:05. And I just think it's a problem if, I don't believe I've heard anybody come in and give a public testimony in the time that I've been on the CAB. So one, it's like, well, how well does the public know that they're able to come and speak? So that was my first thought. And then secondly, it's like, well, if we're serious about including the public and their voices, then it shouldn't just be like a check the box type of exercise in our meeting. So maybe we can also discuss how well we're outreaching to the public, that they too have a voice in this and can access the CAB and its mission and its roles and be a participant of that process.
I like that, Diana. Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
Sorry, this is Katie. I like that, and I'm wondering if we want to explore moving public comment towards the beginning of the meeting. So if we go over, people aren't waiting for us to be done with our agenda items. We can allow them space, and maybe they're bringing something that would enrich the conversation later on in a topic.
Sorry, not people that don't know the CAB or nothing like that. What can they talk about? You know what I'm saying? Maybe even just a question and just put it out like for, because you say anything, well, that could be anything about
Well,
Yeah,
I know the Open Public Meetings Act would prevent us inserting an item on the agenda in response to a question unless it's already on the agenda to address.
Well, maybe a statement, we could talk about this in January, maybe a statement saying, hey, do you have I don't know, something, because people don't know, and if you look at this, a lot of people that don't know this stuff, that don't know the verbiage and don't know the words and stuff, they're like, what? You know what I'm
So-
saying? Like,
Yeah, let's have a short discussion about that in the next.
Yeah, we have plenty of time in our January meeting, which again, I'll reach out to you about new dates. Since we moved the meeting, those are not accurate. But we have plenty of time, so we can dedicate a big chunk of that two-part meeting to all of these conversations, like around our ongoing conversations with cultural competency, and how we want to enact that on the CAAB, such as how we do outreach to the public, renaming positions that, the language is sensitive, and anything else that you all want to bring to that conversation. But I'll make sure to designate a good chunk of time in January for those conversations.
Yeah, and I have examples of that, in some district policies that I bring forward as well. So let's add that to the agenda. So we've got that two-part meeting in January. Would that need to take place on the last week of January instead of the first?
So that is up to you, because we don't have a quorum anymore. I don't think we can take a vote, but since we did vote to change the meeting time for 2026, I think it would probably make the most sense to have it in that fourth week of January.
Okay.
Which would be January 26th is the Monday. And the second, we could have the whole 8-hour meeting on Monday, but I know that is exhausting. So maybe we could do the second part on that Tuesday, the 27th,
Sure.
or Wednesday. The counselor might be able to come to the second part, but we can figure it out. I can send another poll.
We can also structure the agenda so that our newcomers have more material in that first meeting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, traditionally, the first part of the meeting is our annual business, so a lot of board details. And then the second part of the meeting is whatever we want it to be.
So I want to thank everyone who stuck around. It's rare that we go over time, actually. And I appreciate the extended conversations that we had with
Did we lose everyone?
No, we're still here.
a lot of y'all are still here. We'll try to keep to our time a little better next time. So thank you for coming. The next meeting will be January 26th, 1 p.m. And with that, this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
now
you,
that we're
everyone.
adjourned-
Have a great day.
Thank you. Katie, can we get brisket at the next meeting?
Girl. Yeah.
Let's talk offline.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got a food committee.
Right.
Bye, y'all.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey.
no, but you can come in during public comment and,